So in January, my aunt and uncle went with some of our friends from a ministry group called Under Him Ministries to Guatemala, and they started building a house for a family. And when they came back, they had just said that they fell in love with all the people there and everything. And they were really insistent that we had to go, me and my dad. So we it was a lot of back and forth on whether we were going because my dad doesn't want to travel. But I really wanted to go. And then, kind of like the closer we came up on it, the more nervous I got. Mainly just about being away from home for so long and the whole traveling part of it, not so much of being there. And then we got there, and it was a completely different situation. It was not what I expected. Like, I feel like kind of what you hear about a third world country is like everybody's super poor and it's really sad and all this. And they are. It was a kind of sad, but like once you meet the people and you see the way they live and the way they handle the only thing they've ever known, it's like you can't be sad for them because they like it. Like, you know.
They're happy.
Yeah. It's just the way they live. Like, that's normal for them. They would be totally overwhelmed if they ever came to America because we have so much more than they do, but they're used to it. So I think we had 3 different villages. We went to Santa Cecilia, which the ministry group's been going there for pretty much since they started, so for like 30 to 20 years. And they built a couple of houses there, and a few years ago they established a church there that they have there. We went to Julio, which is where we started building where they started building the house in January, and then we finished it while we were there this month. And then La Frogwell, which I think might have been in the newer village they went to. I'm not entirely sure. Santa Cecilia was like the nicest one, kind of. It was still like pretty poor, but they actually had plumbing and stuff. Julio, the family we built the house for. I'm pretty sure their name, it was the Mendoza family. Like 8 or 9 years ago, they lost their mom whenever the youngest son, Omar, was born. He died a few months later after cancer. And then a little while after that, the oldest son died. He was like running for food or something and fell in a ditch. And there was a whole story behind that. So he passed away. So that family was living in Santa Cecilia, and then the governor of Julio gave them a piece of land, and so they just had it, and so they went like and worked it out and started building a foundation there. So we got to work alongside the family to build their house, and that was the whole process, and that was such a blessing to see because the dad of that family, he's typically like a pretty nonchalant guy. Doesn't show much emotion. But like the closer we got to finishing the house, you could just like see his excitement bubbling over. And it was really, really amazing just to see like him show some emotion. All the kids were my favorite ones. They were the sweetest. The first village we went to on day 1 was Santa Cecilia, where they normally go. And I have no idea who those kids are. And they just were all running up and they were like hugging all over me and I don't know a lick of Spanish. And so they were like asking me my name, but I didn't know that. So I'm just like, that's my name. And our translator there, he was like helping us out. And after that, they were so excited. Like they remembered who you were every day you showed up, even if you weren't there for like 3 days straight. And so it was so amazing. They were so sweet. And Julio, they they weren't as enthusiastic as the kids in Santa Cecilia, but they definitely came around by the end of it. Because like a couple of them showed up the first day we went there, and then like as we kept coming, they kept coming, and there was a little ice cream guy that came on his little scooters with a little cart of ice cream, and we bought popsicles for all of them every day, and so that also brought them. And they worked so hard. The kids worked harder than we did. Like, we had to mix concrete every day for the block and the cement and all that. And they would just come and they would just shovel willingly. Like, they wouldn't even let us have a shovel. And they would just do it themselves, and they would keep shoveling, and they would carry the buckets in the house and back out. And it was really cool to see the way they work together and the way they just jump right in and work with you, even though they're like 8. But the majority of them are 8 to 12. And they were super sweet, and they had a little joke where they randomly started picking godparents and like aunts and uncles. So I have like 7 daughters and a nephew who gave me his bracelet. So that's really sweet because like now I'm excited to get to go back and just to see them all. I really miss them. I was excited to come home and see everybody, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know these now because I can really sweet. I think one of the biggest things that kind of like that was more humbling, I guess, than seeing their living situation was like being asked, like, I think I've had at least 3 or 4 people since I got back asked, like, are they so sad? Like, is it sad to see? Are they really pitiful? And I'm like, honestly, no. Like, they have so much energy and they're so excited you're there. And we played soccer forever in Santa Cecilia. And, like, they're not sad at all. And something I forgot to give a little bit of clarity that I have always found really interesting because I've kind of known it for a while, but empathy is the ability to understand and share feelings for other people, and sympathy is feeling sorry for someone else's misfortune without necessarily sharing that emotions. And so I feel like sympathy is kind of more the idea of what people have whenever they think about a third world country or something that they're not used to. But you really have to step into their shoes of how they're living to not feel sympathy for them, but to feel empathy. Because you can't feel sympathy. Like, they're just so lovable and happy. Like, you can't. There's no possible way unless you're just there to feel sorry for them, which kind of defeats the purpose of going. And the Bible studies we did were amazing. I think that was the kids' favorite thing, especially in Lafragua and Julio. They were like kind of mad whenever we told them we weren't going to be back the next day to do Bible study. They were like, they really wanted to do that. I had to lead a Bible study, which was a little uncalled for, but it ended up being really fun. We made kazooz and drums and talked about salvation, and I think we had at least one little girl get saved, and
Amen.
so it was really special.
All of heaven rejoices for one soul.
Yes. Yeah, that was really sweet. Just to see all of them enjoy getting to know more about God was really fun.
I've had a couple of pictures of you on the county slaves.
Oh yeah, pretty involved. Thank you. Yeah. So this is Jorge and Fernando. He is the oldest son right now of the family we built the house for. And he was so excited to get to build a house and stuff and then help out, and that was really fun. I think Jorge is one of the kids, like the people who kind of run the ministry, like they've known him since he was born. And so he's like basically grown up with them coming twice a year. So that was really cool. This kid in the brown is my cousin, and that was also amazing. Seeing the way, despite the language barrier between them, like the kids just pulled him in as one of their own, and they hung out all day. Like somehow they still managed to communicate the whole time.
To just be kids.
Yeah, to just be kids. Like they played soccer so much, and instead of saying tag, they say chuga. And so, they would run around and just tap you randomly, while you're middle of working. And they would just be like, chuga, and they'd run off. And so he got along with them so well. And I think that was also really big for me, because I'm not super close with that cousin out of all of mine. But I think that was also special, getting to grow closer with him. And to see him kind of, accept Guatemala as, his second home. There was our second to last day, we were in Santa Cecilia at the church, finishing handing out our school supplies and food. And the bottom let out of the sky. And our translator, he was like, it never rained like this. So even like the adults were out there just playing in the rain, playing soccer on the flooded field, and just having a blast. And my cousin was out there like standing with his arms up, like just embracing the rain.
Aw.
And we, at the end of our day, we do what's called highs, no lows, because it was highs and lows, but we don't do lows. And so some of the people were like, their high was seeing Wyatt like praising God in the rain. And then it came around to Wyatt, and he was like, I wasn't praising God. I was doing what Messi does when he scores a goal. And it was really funny because that's like their whole thing, Messi and Ronaldo. And it was so sweet. It was really fun. But just to see him, because he does that at home when it rains, since he stands out there with his arms open. And so it's really sweet to like see him kind of accept that as his own. That was really awesome. They love bubbles. That was also really fun, was to blow the bubbles. I think I sat out there for probably the whole 6 hours we were there blowing bubbles with them. And making bracelets was fun too. We did that as well. Oh yeah, they're cute. um, yes, that is one of my daughters. That is Kimberly. She was Kimberly.
See the video.
We ran around Santa Cecilia with her. It was getting to know like some of the older girls too. They really like pictures of themselves and pictures in general. So like they'd be like, "You want to take a photo? You want to take a photo?" And I would be like, "Sure." And they'd be like, "Okay." And they would just stand together, like they just wanted one of them to. So I have bunches of pictures of just like Guatemalan girls, and they would be like, "Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one." And they would only want pictures of me, but it was so sweet. So all the all the older girls, they're so sweet, and they really just wanted to hang out, like, and get to know you a lot, which was really special to me to get to know girls my age, even though I can't understand them. Like, it was still really cool because they're different, but not in a bad way. Like, it's just interesting. That little baby was the sweetest thing. Her name is Lydia, and she's 11 months, I'm pretty sure. And she wouldn't let anyone else from our group hold her, except for me, which made me feel really special. She was the sweetest thing. I think the last day we were there, she just like sat in my arms forever and laid her head down. She didn't really smile. She didn't show hardly any emotion, unless she was open. But so she just laid in my arms pretty much the whole day, and it was really special. I really like hanging out with her. Cows were everywhere, randomly. We were in church service Sunday one morning, and they're like singing the music, which was very loud. And then a herd of cows just go by the door as we're having church. It was very, very funny, but they're cute. Cows are cute. A beautiful flower at one of the houses. That was one thing I'm really praying for right now is we went and looked at another piece of land that a family had. I don't know where at, but to build a house on their land, and I really go back and do that because I think like right now the house that we just finished building was kind of the only project they were working on. They're not doing like a bunch of things at once. So I really hope that they take up the offer to build that home for them and that they're able to, because something about just like being there even and seeing the family. I think they had 4 kids. Just seeing the family was like, I don't know them, but I just kind of felt like that house needed to be done for them. Like that's something that they need. So I'm really hoping that we can do that. I don't know. Yes, there's everybody hanging out at lunch, and it's kind of hard to see. That's my cousin and his friend Omar. Omar is the youngest that we're building the house for. He loves Subway Surfers, and so every day he would come up and he would ask for my phone and be like, "Can I play Subway Surfers, please?" It was so sweet. And so him and Wyatt sat forever, and they would play Subway Surfers and soccer, and that's like my cousin's best friend. And so that was fun. He's the sweetest thing. I didn't want to leave him. He's so cute. He's maybe 8 or 9, but there's the process of building the house. I did have a little part in that. So like filling the cement in between each brick I got to learn how to do that skill. That was really fun, oddly enough. The girl who taught me, her name is Olivia, and not that one, but she was really sweet, and so getting to hang out with her and like to have her teach me skills was really cool because she said the first time she went, she was 15, and so we really got to like hang out and talk about it a lot during the trips. So that was really fun, and I was very glad I got to be helpful building. Yes, that was a beautiful sunset one night after dinner. It was very beautiful. And more cows. Yeah, so it was a really good trip. I think overall, I would definitely do it again. It's once you go, it's almost hard to come back because there's so much more you feel like you can do, and like just the connections you make are really strong, even though it's only a couple of days. So it's really hard to leave. One of the girls in her group, her name is Marissa. She's been going with them for however many years, and still like bawled her eyes out the whole day. The day we were leaving, and the day before we left, and the day we left, she just cried the whole time. But it was. I'm really glad I got to go, even though it was nerve-wracking to begin with. It was definitely worth it, and it's definitely something I'm doing again.
Can you share that testimony with your cousin when you called me and enjoyed it?
Oh yes, why I was there. I have another cousin named Wyatt on my mom's side, and he's my age. When we were really like babies, his family kind of stepped away from like Christianity and stuff. I think they just had a bad church experience, but I can't speak for them. And so he texted me one morning randomly. I think he was just like being super silly because he likes to get under my skin, and that's what he was trying to do. But I played on with it, and so he asked me, like, what's our purpose on earth? Like, are we just here searching for something that we're never gonna get, or what? And like, just kind of being silly. And I gave him a really deep answer, and I was like, I think it just kind of depends on your perspective. Like, I come from a Christian background, so like I think that my purpose in life is to go serve God. Like my mission is to share God with a happy heart and to make heaven crowded, pretty much. And so we got into like this really deep talk that we haven't had since we were like 7, and even then it was arguing over whether the Bible was real or not. So it wasn't really anything. And so we finally just got to have like a mature, open-minded conversation with each other for the first time. And in the end, I asked him like, if you were in my shoes and you got to heaven or hell, or where God decides, and he sent you to hell, would you regret not knowing Jesus? And he said, yeah, I probably would. But I'm glad, like, you have something like that you can believe in. And so I asked him, like, if he would be open to coming to church with me one day, whether, like, even if he doesn't get anything from the service or doesn't want to be there, like, just to come sit in it and try to maybe get something out of it. And he was like, yeah, like, even if I don't get anything out of it, at least I'm getting family time. And I was like, yeah, but please try.
That's awesome.
And so he said yes, and that's like, even if it probably won't be, because my parents have issues, but I'm not over there. I'm just excited he said yes, whether it happens or not. And so that was like the highlight of the whole trip.
Speak life.
Yes.
Yes. So even though like I forgot where I was at. Anyway, I'm happy it happened because I've been praying for that since I was little. Just because he's been one of my best friends forever, even though we've had a long chunk of time where we didn't talk or weren't able to. He's still been one of my closest friends, and just to know like he's not saved and that one day he might not get to go to heaven with me really breaks my heart.
Wow.
And so I've prayed for that forever, and just to know he said yes really makes me happy. And so I'm praying that even if he doesn't, nothing special happens right away, like at least that seed's going to be planted. So that was a highlight of my whole trip, even though it was a whole thing. It really made me excited.
That's awesome. Anybody have any questions for us?
How long did you stay? 12 days, but 2 of them were traveling days, so basically.
Anybody else?
I want to learn how to make cement. How do you make that?
Lots of water and cement and stuff like that. I don't know what the ingredients are, but it's like dirt, basically. I don't know. Cement.
Yeah.
Question. I find it very, very interesting that we in America and as the youth, we have like all these expectations. You know, we need our phones, we need social media, we have certain clothes we want, we have certain things. It sounds like these people were without 95% of what we need to be a normal day, yet they seemed extremely happy.
Yeah.
Where do you think that was from?
Honestly, I'm not sure. I can't see. It's kind of like hard to tell because I think it was also from us being there. Like, the people, Brad and Brandy, who they established on this. They mention a lot like how all the women at like their women's Bible study talk about like they don't actually interact much unless we're there. So like in between January and July, the village isn't really like a community. It's more like everyone just happens to live beside each other. And they don't really talk. So I think I can't really tell. Like the happiness kind of just feels like it's still there. I mean,
It sounds like the kids are pretty content with what they do in life because that's what they know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I find it interesting that you can go down there and they all don't seem to be overly concerned with the things that tear us up as a society.
Yeah.
You know? Just makes you think.
Did your dad come around while they went through?
Yeah. I think my dad's a negative Nancy, so I think he tends to look at the technical difficulties we had. But for the most part, he had a good time. I'm really glad he got to go with me because one of the most special things that happened, at one of our Bible studies, or the kids' ones at least, we washed their feet. And I got to sit down and my dad got to wash my feet and to pray over me. And we don't talk a lot about like our faith or just in general because it's like we're both not really good at opening up, I think. And so just to like sit down and have that moment with him was really special, even though there were tons of people talking and kids playing around us. Like it just felt like it was just us two for a moment. And that was one of the most important things. So I didn't actually want him to go in the beginning because there was a chance of it have just been me going with my papa and my aunt and my uncle. So I almost didn't want him to go because I feel like I get super closed up whenever he's around or my parents in general. But I'm really glad he went in. I know I wouldn't have had that moment if he hadn't been there.
That's beautiful.
And that moment was a lot more special to me than he thinks it is.